welcome back to Discover with Sbenati. I'm your host, Dr. Halim Sbenati, and today we have a very special guest. Her name is Martha Hawk, and she is, by my standards, a perfectionist. And if anyone knows me, I'm a severe perfectionist, and she is a level above that. So without further ado, let's get started. Martha, please introduce yourself.
Hello, I am Martha Hawk. I am the founder of Hedgeford and Berkley. We are a full-service design and build firm.
Okay, so she's very humble. And the reason I say that is because if you check out her Instagram, and her Instagram tag will be right here. This is going to be on YouTube, by the way, as well. Yeah, this is going to be on YouTube. And you can also check all her work on her Instagram. And she has also a Facebook page called Hedgeford and Berkley. Okay, so Martha, before I get started, what got you started in this whole process?
So I was working as an engineer and I was there for 8 years, and the environment just started to get less and less progressive, and the morale started going down. And I used to work with visionaries, and that sort of atmosphere just kind of started going away. Okay. So I sat there one day at my gray cubicle desk and said, is this literally what I'm going to do for the next 30 years? And I thought, I have to do something else, anything else. So I had a love for renovating, and I thought, there's so many terrible contractors out there and designers who think they can design but can't. So there has to be a better way of helping people connect with good designers and good contractors and smooth that process out. So one day I just quit, and I thought, I'm just going to start my own company, because I told my boss, if you cannot create a progressive environment for me to work in, I will build a company that can.
Wow.
That's what I did.
If that's not going to motivate you, I don't know what is. Now, what gave you that push? So you're saying that you found yourself stagnant, and you looked at yourself, you're like, okay, how can I do this for the next 38 years or so? Okay, and you're like, I can't do this. Yeah. What made you go into the career choice that you decided to go into now? Because you didn't just go into just engineering.
Yes.
You decided to take on art, which is a whole different realm altogether. Like usually engineers and art don't mix. That's right. That's why they have them in different buildings in universities.
Yeah, that's right.
So what got you to marry those?
I don't know, but I think that for myself, I've always been very moved by my environment, and I understand the impact it has on your psychological well-being. And I'm a firm believer that in mind over matter. And if you believe you can do it, you will find a way of doing it. So creating a renovation that, kind of creates that space for somebody to have it as an inspiring space allows them to be, maybe happier. And I just feel that if I can provide that, that's my way of giving back to them to be the best version of themselves.
Wow. I just got goosebumps. I literally just got goosebumps. That was really good. That's actually awesome. So were you ever so intrigued with interior design that you're... No. I did not think I was going to do this. No. Okay, so just to give a little bit of background. So you studied engineering.
Yeah, I'm a mechanical engineer.
You're a mechanical engineer. Okay, and now what you do mainly is you do renovations. Yes. You do interior and exterior. You do from small projects to big projects. That's right. And I've seen your work, and it is nothing shy of phenomenal.
It's okay.
It's all right. It's not bad. You are by far one of the best, if not the best, I've ever actually seen the work, because it takes, anyone can just do renovation, but it takes a level of actual detail or attention to detail for you actually to surpass that level. Yes. So with mechanical engineering, obviously they don't train you to develop that eye. Do you have like a family background of... So you don't have anyone in your family that has any influence on you with regards to...
They're all engineers.
They're all engineers. Yeah. So who influenced you
into going into
to get into specifically to do what you're doing, which is interior reconstruction and design?
Yeah, I just fell into it. It isn't that I thought that I could be the best in construction. I really have just set out to create the greatest company to work for. It just happens that we're good at renos. I believe that we solve problems, and that's what engineers are made to do. So if you can create a space that seamlessly works for somebody's life or where they work or whatever it is, that changes them, and then you just solved a problem that they had, and that for me is the real reward.
Wow.
Making things beautiful, that's just for fun.
Wow.
But there's a lot of things that I started studying. There's a lot of details of why this room affects me but this room doesn't, why this detail does and that one doesn't, you know. Does this have a reveal and that's what makes the material stand out? How are these materials layered together? By really almost analyzing the way that all these facets come together, that's enabled me to, like, when I design, I already have these things because I've figured it out. Like, that's just what I've done. It's just how I work. That's how my brain works.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were interested in interior design. You're also interested in problem solving. So that's what I'm getting from you.
Yes.
And also interested in inspiring people.
Yeah.
So you got your engineering background and you mixed all those together. And then also because you're very brilliant, as I can tell, you are very, you know what to look for in order to make that impact.
That's right. That's right.
And not a lot of people have that. So then tell me, I'm sure you're very cool, calm, and collected, which is awesome. Okay. Especially in this field, which can, like, and I know you're under a lot of stress. We'll get to that in a sec. What have been some challenges along the way from the time that you started until now?
To be honest, the biggest thing is building the team, finding people who are like-minded, who they share in the vision, because this industry is a lot about just getting in and getting out, and you have to have almost this relentless perseverance for creating the most perfect finish, and understanding and taking the time to do all of the layers underneath and to plan all those layers underneath to get that finish to just go in seamlessly. It's like, that's where all the work happens. Most of it you don't even see, but to have somebody that wants to take that time to understand all those layers, that's the hard part. And meeting people who are like, it's good enough, like, it's fine, that bothers me. That's not the way it is. Like, you should be at 100% every time, and not just when you feel like it.
Okay, so here's what I'm getting from you. What I'm getting from you is that you are, and I just dug deep into what you just said, you are very good at communicating.
Oh, okay.
Because in order for you to get your vision and to find a team that can understand your vision and make your vision come to life, you would have to be an extremely good communicator. Not just a good communicator, you have to be a communicator to another level.
Right.
Right? And that speaks volumes to your work. Right? Because if you look at your work, obviously you're not the one that's doing all the work. You're leading that. But you've picked and chosen certain people in order for you to make that thing come to life. And to me, that speaks volumes of your character, of your ability to select certain people. So you must have very good judge of character. You must.
I'm very trusting, but I'm getting better. Yeah.
Right. I mean, we all learn through the process.
We all learn, yeah.
So now that you've come a long way, you've won a few awards along the way. You've met some quite an impressive number of people that are pretty famous. Some of them are.
I can't always disclose that.
Okay, so you can't disclose it. Okay, no worries. But I mean, you have a very impressive resume.
Thank you.
Okay, and your portfolio is. I mean, I'm proud. I told my best friend when he asked me about you, I couldn't stop raving about you. So that speaks a lot.
Yes.
Okay. So now with all the challenges you've met, what is the biggest challenge that you've encountered so far? I know you're under a lot of stress right now.
Yeah, I feel like there's lots of little ones, and the problem is that they compound, right? So definitely finding the team, but it's also getting your work out there, finding materials. I've kind of just come to realize that when I imagine something, it's usually not built or ready for me to pick off the shelf. And that it's challenging because of timing. Most of what I'm creating is a prototype. I have no idea if it's going to work. I'm problem solving it as I go, but we're already putting it into the reno, so it has to work, right? So the challenges are, it's high pressure because it's highly precise work. You don't get many opportunities to do it twice because it doesn't fit in the schedule. And I make big promises. And then I have to figure out a way of delivering it.
And you make it work.
Yes.
You make it work.
Yes.
Okay.
No matter how much sleep I lose, I make it work.
So then now that you've grown and now you're growing, what's your ambition?
That's a tough one. A lot of people ask me that, and they say like, what's your 5-year plan? But for me, my goal is to have built a team where we get it, and we're working like a well-oiled machine, and every project we do it's not that it's bigger than the last one, it's that there's always an element of like, hell yeah, we did that. Like no one else could have done that, or no one else wanted to do that. We came in and did it. And to have a team that, right now we're in this growth phase of being able to take on much bigger projects. But once I kind of stabilize that team, that's really the goal. And then I'm sure there'll be even more growth. But for now, it's just trying to stabilize everything.
And now you're in the process of recruiting more people.
Yes.
Okay, because you're multiplying your.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I do. We have a wait list, and it does annoy people to go on the wait list. And unfortunately, like some people wait on the wait list for a year and a half. Some people don't wait, and I don't know how they sneak into it. But but I would like to be able to take on more projects. But I have to do it in a very boutique renovation sort of way. And I can't dilute the process, and I can't dilute the experience for the client. So creating a team that really believes in the same vision that we have, where it's 100% all the time. And the client experience is so important for us that we're here to not only take your vision, but we're here to elevate it to a level you couldn't even imagine. That's our job in it, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't have a specific 3 to 5 year plan.
No,
okay.
Because when I started this business, I was like, okay, Google how to start a business. Okay, I need to write a business plan. Like I literally had no idea. I have no business training.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, I will start a business. So I wrote a business plan, and I thought, okay, in year 3, I will hire my first person. I had hired my first person by month 3. By year 3, we were nominated in 8 categories of International Design and Architecture Awards, including like best design firm in the world. So to say where I'll be in 3 years is ridiculous. Like one of my personal like dream come true is almost happening right now. I don't want to jinx it, but I thought that would be a 10-year plan, or to even sit in the world's like to sit amongst the world's greatest design firms, to me was a 10-year plan. We're going there in 6 weeks. Like it's just, it's crazy. So I have stopped thinking about where I could be and where I will be. It's just, you have no idea.
Well, I mean, I have somewhat of an idea. I mean, I do see your posts, and for those people that are going to go see your post, they're going to have a slight idea. I know that you do have really big dreams, and you do want to get, to a really big place, and you're not shy about mentioning it.
No,
okay,
I'm very ambitious.
Yeah, so now with your big dreams, and you started not knowing how to even do a business plan.
Right.
What is let's say, some advice that you would give women in particular, about how would they approach the way to follow their dreams?
Yeah, so early on in my career, I was given some really good advice, and it's actually advice that I've really tried to live by. And actually, anytime I've wavered, it's done me wrong. But in about year 2, I was given the advice that you do everything on vibe. And from that moment on, that's exactly what I did. Because when you're starting a business, everybody tells you the way you start your business. These are the hours you should work. If someone calls you at 11 p.m., tell them that you don't answer the phone after 6. And all of these rules that they will put on your business. And for me, I did what I felt was right all the time. And if a client needs me and it's 11 p.m., I will pick up the phone. Or if there's a problem I need to solve, and I don't know, like it's the perseverance that you just keep doing what you feel is right. But the difficulty is, like, everybody will give you this advice of what to do and what not to do, but you should try it, but you should do these mini experiments. You should try their advice, and the minute it doesn't feel right, or if it backfires and a client has a terrible experience because they couldn't get a hold of you because it was after 6 o'clock, change it, pivot. You're small as a starter, as an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, you have the ability to adapt so quickly. Pivot every time it's not working and try something else. And the mistakes that you make, put it into your lessons learned. That's the biggest thing that I do. If I make one mistake, I will make that mistake once, but I'll never make it again. I will make a point of getting to the root cause, and that's probably the engineer in me. I'll make a root cause analysis of why it even happened and put a preventative measure as best I can so that no one ever has to feel that mistake again. But the thing is, every job is bigger than the last. They're always prototypes, and there's always an element of we're figuring this out live. So it's always scary, but the end result with that much risk in it is huge reward. And if it's not working, we pivot, we problem solve, we change it.
Okay, so then what I'm trying to get from you is that if you were to give an advice to, let's say, a girl growing up and she wants to, I'm sure a lot of girls look up to you and they want to do something similar to you. I'm pretty sure they are. Or if they're not, they will. They will. Yeah. And they're looking at you, they say, okay, I want to do something like you. So you're trying to say is follow your instincts.
Yes.
And then take advice as it applies to what you can do at the current moment. Yes. But if it doesn't actually work, pivot.
You have to pivot. Yes.
Pivot and change until something does work.
Yes,
and you're saying that's the freedom that entrepreneurship or business actually affords you.
Yes.
All the freedom of movement.
Yes, because what works for your business will not work for somebody else's. And when I was very used to engineering, where it's very black and white, it's all calculations, and my specialty was thermodynamics and fluid dynamics, it's all calculations. And now all of a sudden you're in this industry where a lot of it is qualitative, right, versus quantitative. And you get just so much advice from people, but you haven't got the business sense yet and the experience and the lessons learned to know that when something feels wrong, it is wrong. You don't have that gut feel. You might hire the wrong person 5 times in a row until you get to the 6th person. But what you have to do is be very aware of your surroundings and be very in tune with the decision you make and how it impacts your business. Was it good for your business? Was it good for your clients? And put yourself second. I know that people are always like, work-life balance, but your business has to be the forefront, because if you want to take all these breaks because you're an entrepreneur and you're going to,
take over the world, fly private jets and all that jazz,
You can't do that without doing the grind, but you need to spend enough time in the clouds and the dirt to be able to do both. But it's building that instinct that's, I think, the hardest part.
It's going through all the mistakes, right? You have to go through the mistakes, right? Without the mistakes, you're not going to learn. Without learning, you're not going to grow, right? And I'm sure you've done a lot of both, right?
Growing.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You told me just previously, before we went on air, you told me that you're going through growing pains right now, even through all your successes. So it just doesn't stop. But you're at another level. Right now.
Exactly. The problems I have today are very different to the problems I had 3 years ago. Right. Absolutely. Right. Yes. Yeah.
Now going back, so now knowing what you know today, okay, what would you give the advice to the 3 years ago girl, Martha? What would you give her in terms of advice that you would have done differently?
I think before, if I could go back in time, I think about this a lot, but it's difficult because I'm a firm believer that you have to make the best decision that you can with the information you have at the time. And at the time, you don't have the instincts built up. You don't even understand the right people to hire or the right clients to have. And you'll go through those learning lessons or the right projects to take on. But I think that 3 years ago, to be honest, the only thing that I would tell myself is just to keep going, just to keep persevering through it, because you have to do the grind. And only because I've done every job that I guys in construction have to do, that's the only reason that I know how to do it. I've done every job within Hedgeford and Berkley to know how to do it. There isn't anything that I wouldn't do for the survival of my company.
I actually didn't expect you to say anything different. I swear. Actually, I was expecting you to say those words, and I would have been surprised if you said anything different.
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody actually just gave me really good advice, and they said, "You remind me of me when I was young," and the advice that I would give myself, and the advice I give you is, have more fun with it and enjoy it. And I was literally thinking this weekend, how am I supposed to enjoy this anymore? I don't know how I'm supposed to enjoy this. Like
you're at a level right now where you're enjoying it so much. You're like, is there another level?
Yeah. And it's just like, what can you do to make it funner? I guess like I don't know if that's a word, but you just, the thing is, I always think that as an entrepreneur, the amount of emotions that you will go through in a 48-hour period is more than some people go through in a lifetime.
I feel you.
Right? Like you are, on like cloud nine, and you are just like, can this get better? And it might be because like I just got the best project ever. I'm working with the best client ever. My team is amazing. Or like something that I'm literally like, you get this adrenaline,
That's right.
these goosebumps that you will have never experienced before. But then come the lows, and those lows where you fall flat on your face. You miss a deadline or something. I actually don't miss deadlines.
She actually does not miss a deadline. And that is what separates her. That's a little plug for her. That's what separates her from, I'd say, 99.9% of all contractors. She does not miss a deadline.
No, I don't.
No. But keep going. Sorry for interrupting you.
But there's times or just something that doesn't happen. A lot of times in the growing pains that I've had is because when I say I'm going to do something, I just do it. And I also just assume, or I believe that when somebody gives me their word and they say, Martha, this will be done, I guarantee it, I don't have to think about it because you're a person of your word. And when that breaks down, that causes a breakdown in my system. And understanding how to control that, or understanding how to get through that, or change or pivot or whatever I need to do, those days where I feel hopeless, like, what am I going to do now that, this isn't going the way I need it to go, or this didn't work out the way I needed it to work out. That hopelessness is unparalleled because you are the only person running your company, and you cannot, you can't lean on someone else to say, like, let's say that I wanted to hire somebody that I thought was going to be phenomenal for our company, but they want to go somewhere else. That hope of being able to work with them and then being gutted by not being able to, there's no one in my company that I can go to and say, like, oh, that sucked, I don't even know what to do now. And then they're going to say, it's okay because I've got this and this lined up. No one does that for you. Right. You are at the top.
That's right.
Who does?
It's your vision.
It's your vision.
Baby.
When you have to carry that momentum, whether you feel it or you don't. And when you're at rock bottom, it's hard sometimes to be like, that's okay, I'll just pick myself up and everything will be great again. But when you're flying high and you are just in the clouds, there's nothing that can stop you.
And I felt that before too. Absolutely. So then when you are crashing, or when you've crashed and you are on rock bottom, what gets you to get back up?
To be honest, is what I do is a lot of like mind over matter. So it's, okay, these are the things that I need to action. This is what I need to get done. And I take the emotion out of it. Because there's no point in wallowing at all. And a lot of people depend on me to, make this company successful. So I really don't have a choice. I don't have, what's that word? The, luxury of being able to just wallow in a bad day. I might call my friends and say, okay, we're going out and drinking wine. But after that, I have no choice. I signed up for this. I've got to pick it back up. And that perseverance is tested all the time. But you've got to keep pushing. That's the thing. It's not made for weak people, that is for sure.
Entrepreneurship is not. It's very lonely. It's very lonely, and it's self-motivating, and it's self-driven. Right? I mean, you can't rely on anyone else, like you said, to actually get you to pick yourself up. Sometimes you want to look around. I mean, myself, sometimes you want to look like, you're like, who's gonna tell me everything's gonna be okay? And you look in the mirror, you're like, that's the person.
Right. You know what's actually really helped me is listening to really inspiring people. Whether it's like podcasts or YouTube is a really like good go-to for me. Also, I've tried this new thing where it really makes me feel better when I do really nice things for people. And also, did you know that like even just seeing somebody do something nice for somebody else makes you feel better? So just being like a kind individual also helps. But people, I mean there's a ton of people out there, but it's just somebody who will motivate you and will get you out of focusing on the little problem that doesn't actually really matter to thinking big and dreaming. Because when you're thinking big and dreaming, that's when you're inspired and you're excited and you can do anything. But that's how I have to turn it around.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you always have two choices at the end of the day. You always have the choice of looking at it the positive way, and you have the choice of looking at it the negative way. That's your choice. But it's always easier to default on a negative because it's easier just to stop and just to like, drink wine or like eat chocolate or do nothing. Right. But then when you pick yourself up and drive yourself, then you see the results and you're like, I'm glad I didn't actually just wallow in my misery.
That's right. I always say it that your true character and your perseverance is tested on your bad days. It's not when you get up and you feel like you're going to go to the gym and I'm going to have this epic workout. It's tested the days where you're like, I don't want to do this. Why can't I just have the 9 to 5 punch in, punch out? I leave my work at the office. Like, why can't I just have that?
That's right.
Those days where you are in the trenches with everybody, that's where like you persevere through that and you are always stronger.
But don't you feel like because you're an entrepreneur and you have total control of what goes on, you feel like you can make the biggest impact?
Yes.
And you can also feel that even if you're an employee, you would never have that chance.
Well, when I was an employee, I always dreamed that I would be the director or like leading of whatever company I was in. So it was believed that I would have impact, but it wasn't until the last job that I was at when I started working in an environment where no matter what I did, the leadership, it was just not visionary. There was no morale. It was just like,
just humdrum, just do your thing, clock in, clock out.
Not really interested.
And in that kind of environment, you can't make any impact.
No.
But as an entrepreneur, you can make the biggest impact, despite you having a job that you can progress and make a little bit of impact. But at the end of the day, it's not your vision that you're going to drive that ship, right? That's awesome. And so we've gone through the journey of you starting, of you going through struggles, how you battle struggles, what you give as advice for girls that also look up to you, and for either just the general public. And a lot of people face, bad days, and they want to look up to inspiration. And you're a very inspiring person. I mean, and you actually use that to lead your vision, right? To inspire people. You've said it a few times, right?
That's right.
Yeah. And
idea I have, right?
yeah, just that. Just you kind of wake up, you're like, I'll just inspire this person. So who has been the biggest influence in your life?
It's actually quite a few people, I would say. I mean, in the business sense, I mean, Gary Vee. I know a lot of people don't like Tai Lopez, but Tai Lopez and
they're all great.
They're all great for sure. And I think that personally, being around really strong individuals, my friends, my husband, I feel like he makes me a better version, and I think that is what you should always strive to be. Like, you should always try to be the best version of yourself, whether it's through perseverance to always do the right thing or whatever. But I mean, I say I try to do the right thing, but it's hard. You do the right thing.
You just do
what's
your best.
What's to you the right thing, right?
That's right. I really believe there's not really a right thing.
Yeah,
I really believe there's a right thing for you.
For you, exactly.
And so as long as you're putting your heart into it, then that's right.
That's right. Yeah.
That's what I believe. So the inspiring people you look up to are people like Gary Vee, people like Tai Lopez. You have a very strong support system that you just mentioned.
Yes.
Your husband.
Definitely, yeah. My parents, most of the time, they're just like, I'm not really sure even what you do all day. My dad offers to help me with the business. I'm like, I don't think that you understand where the company is right now. And they're still always like, come over for lunch. And I'm like, I'm in like 18 hours of meetings today. But they think that because I run my own business that I just like, I don't know, hang out at home all day. Yeah. But
I'm sure they're very proud of you.
I mean, I would like to hope so, but it definitely is the classic, like, I know that you got 98% on the test, but what happened to the other 2%?
Right.
That's
my parents are the same.
Always, yeah. And I do the same with myself, but.
Right. I mean, I'm guessing that's how you were brought up.
Yes.
Right? And that's what shaped you to the person you are today.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the next big thing? I know we talked about ambitions.
Yeah.
But if you can kind of give a little bit of a glimpse as to the people that are listening and people that are watching. What is the next big thing for Martha?
Project-wise? Or what am I doing?
For anything.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny because when I think about like, well, personally, or I would say like, you know, business, we've got just insane projects coming up that are beyond my wildest dreams. Working with other CEOs who are so inspiring because they're 20 years ahead of me. That's the biggest thing. Like whoever your mentor is needs to be many, many steps ahead of you. You need to aspire to be like them, you know. But yeah, personally, I think, I really don't know. I'm most of the time in disbelief that I'm not still at my 9 to 5 because I literally almost didn't do it. I almost just stayed there. And it was really a mix of people saying like, go out and do your own thing. And people being like, it's not so bad. It's a steady paycheck and you should like the 9 to 5. And I didn't know anything else. I'm not an entrepreneur. I didn't know any of these things. So yeah, I think that for me, for the next, I guess in the future, maybe a little more time off, but maybe just some relief of, you know, growing the team and having a stable team that can really shoulder a lot of it with me because the projects are just getting too big, too big for me to be
That's
on my
actually
own.
a really good problem.
Yes.
That's a great problem.
Yes, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Martha, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
I know you were nervous a little bit in the beginning, but as all of you can tell, she did beyond amazing. She's a joy to listen to. She's a joy to be around. She's very inspiring, very inspirational. I really hope you come back to Discover with Sbenati. And guys, make sure you go check her out. Her tag is this. This is her tag. And you also can check her. You have a website too, right?
I do.
Okay, I'll be putting her website in the description in the box below. So make sure you check that out. Thanks again for tuning in. This has been episode number 3 with Discover with Sbenati. And stay tuned for episode 4.
Thank you.